Look at the camera.
I know. Hey everyone, this is Lisa Hernandez with Simple Bliss Living, and I'm here for our Tuesday talk with Michelle Perkins. And Michelle is a life coach for professional women. And we're going to ask you a couple questions and just get to know you better, know your business. And the whole purpose of this Tuesday talk is to interview people that are doing things for themselves to change the lives of others. And we all get into that place of where you have your magic moment or your aha moment, that kind of gets you to that point of making a life change. So, Michelle, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much for being on my very first Tuesday talk. And introduce yourself, tell us what you do. And number one thing I want to ask you is what motivates you every single day? I know it's hard because, some people just have it. And then there's some of us that struggle with
Mhm.
motivating ourselves every day. So how do you manage to do that? And tell us about your business.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Lisa. I'm excited to be your first guest, so thank you. Um, so, as she said, I am Michelle Perkins, and I am a coach for professional women. And I really focus on professional women that are in some type of a leadership role or they want to go into a leadership role.
Mhm.
And a little history on me is, and how I got into that is I'm really big on women who kind of have lost themselves and don't know really who they are, don't speak up for themselves, and that is all based on my own personal experiences. And I my passion is to help those women really become confident, really connect with who they are, and just really be able to speak up for themselves and know that what they have to say matters. Years ago, I really struggled with that. And just one day I had enough and I took the action steps I needed to make myself better. And so it's my passion now to help those women do that. And so what motivates me, what my reason for doing this is a couple of things. Is first, exactly what I just said. I know the pain that I was going through and the struggles and just feeling down all the time and feeling like, I wasn't enough, that I didn't matter. Nobody really wanted to hear what I had to say.
Mhm.
I don't want other women to feel like that. I want to be there to help other women, to uplift them, to give them the confidence they need, to be the powerhouse that they were meant to be. So that's my main reason for doing what I do. And the other big reason is my family. I raised my two 8-year-old twin grandsons, which I adore. They keep me hopping. But, you know, I want them and my children and my other grandchildren to see that no matter what you go through, no matter the struggles, you can pick yourself up and you can turn things around. And so they're my why. They keep me going because I want to be the good example for them.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Awesome. Yes. And so, how long have you been doing coaching?
I have been in coaching almost 4 years.
Okay. And what were you doing before?
So before I was in the corporate world, which is where my struggles were. It was a male dominant organization. And, at first you come in and you've got all these ideas and you just want people to listen and you want to share them and you want people to know that you've got ways that you can grow the company and just really help the team. And, at first they listen to you, but then as time goes, you can tell they're not really listening. And then they start to overtalk you and then you start to withdraw. And it was at a meeting, and I can remember this. I just thought, nobody really cares what I have to say. They're not listening to me. And so it was at that point I thought, I'm done with this. And
Right.
I decided to start researching and finding something else. And it's when I came across coaching, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to make myself better, and I want to help other women. So,
Well, I That's so interesting because I'm working on a method, my own method of coaching,
Mhm.
and I'll share that in future videos, and we can talk about it privately. I would love to get your opinion about it, but one of the aspects of this, it's a three-part aspect, and one aspect is it of that is a lot of times we know what to do, we just don't know how to go about doing it. Like, I know I've suffered trauma, I know I need help, I know I need to heal, I know I need to do this, but how do I go about doing it? And what I realized was when I went through my divorce, I I was in the divorce group at my church, and I was so involved in the intensity of the pain at the moment that I heard some things they were saying, but it was really hard to absorb because I had this shell of protection around me, right? But there
Mhm.
was a couple things that got into my brain, obviously, because I would think about them later and be like, oh yeah, I remember that's going to help me get through this moment, right?
Mhm.
But then I realized years later, as I was doing the divorce group myself and teaching it, I learned more than when I was a participant, because I was now in a place to be able to hear what was being said and really absorb it. So I really found out that helping others helps you more than you're probably doing for them, which is amazing. So I think, there's a lot of self help out there and a lot of that stuff, but which is great. I'm not saying anything against self help books and
Mhm.
methods and whatever, but it's like if you got to get to that point of helping others, and then you're going to start seeing the transformation. Is that what you found too? Is
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness, you are so right on the money because because I've had several coaches. Because I'm a big believer that no matter what, even if you're going through a rough time or you're going through a good time, you need a coach. You just need that mentor. But yes, I mean, I did a lot of growth in the beginning, but then when I really started helping other women and I heard them and I saw what they were going through, and once I heard them say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm experiencing. And so together, by me helping them work through that situation, I also help myself. And so yeah, many times my clients healed me and they didn't even know it. So yeah, I completely
right.
agree. It's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing.
It's amazing concept. And I
Hmm.
think we get so caught up in fixing ourselves and, loving ourselves and all of that good stuff cliche stuff you're supposed to do. But at some point when you start helping others,
It heals you.
it's magical. It's really magical what happens to you. Right. So, when was your magic moment? Was it that time when you were working in corporate America and you were like, I'm not being heard? Because there's nothing more demeaning, frustrating than you have all these ideas and, I'm going to bring change and then nobody's listening, right? That's got to be the worst. Then you're like, screw it, I'm just going to do this myself, you know?
Oh.
So, was that your moment?
That was the beginning of the moment because I'm like, they're not listening to me. And that was an in person meeting. And then it was just shortly after we had an online conference call, and there was just me and another woman on the call. And I started talking, and I was like, someone overtalked me. And I thought, okay. And I literally hung up and just started crying. And then I remember because I had three computer screens, and I just remember looking at all these financial reports. I remember this so well. And I just sat there and I stared and I just cried and I cried and I thought, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I am miserable. So that evening, that's when I started doing research, and I just started looking up just different keywords for like low confidence and how to make others listen to you and just different things like that. And what's weird is just different ads and different articles came up about coaching.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that's how I got into it. And I started doing a lot of research. And then I found a coaching school that worked for me. And I went through 18 months of coaching school. And that's where my beginning started.
And how do you, what would you say to women that are stuck in that position of feeling trapped? And I believe that, you know, I worked for Carnival Cruise Lines for 20 years, and then we got laid off, like a hot potato in
Mhm.
2010. But I remember prior to that, we had, when they were going through their reorganization process, they had coaches come in and teach us how to get through this process. And I remember one of the guys was saying, things are changing. It used to be back in the day, you worked at a company for 30, 40 years, you retired, you got your gold watch, and, you went to the beach and traveled or did whatever you did for the rest of your life. That's not the case anymore. I mean, we can't rely on corporate jobs to keep us employed. A lot of people are just um, getting out on their own, but it's scary. It's super scary.
Mhm.
Number one, because of financial stability, obviously, is, I know, a huge factor for a lot of people to start their own business. But what would you suggest, um, aside from the financial scariness? What would you suggest women or men do to, start doing it on their own?
Well, I think the first thing is you need to just talk to someone because we have these ideas in our head, but until we say them out loud, they may not always make sense. Because I know sometimes when I say something out loud, it's like, oh, aha, things become clear, or like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? So I guess my first suggestion would be, find someone that you trust, someone that will give you honest, good feedback, and just bounce the idea off of them, and just, listen to their feedback, but also listen as you're saying the words, because believe it or not, that's going to help you more than anything. And then do some research on whatever it is that you are thinking. If you're thinking of leaving it and you have something specific you want to go into, do your research. And then if you need to, which I strongly recommend, is find that mentor, find that coach, because they are an objective person and they will be able to help you see things that you can't see. They'll be able to give you guidance. One of the things that I do with all my clients is we first talk about what they want to accomplish. We talk about their end game first. Where is it
Mm,
that you want to go? And then we work backwards. And, we set up action steps. And a lot of times we say, oh, I can do that on my own, but we don't. And so just having
absolutely.
that person hold you accountable is important. And I've had people that I've spoken with, potential clients. Well, I just can have my friend, she'll hold me
I
accountable.
was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
The worst advice in the world is talk to a family or friend. And I think that's, I mean, I'm sure they have good intentions, right? But I
Yes.
was I was just going to get into that, is
Hmm.
life coaches are so important. I think they're underrated and undervalued. And probably, I think there's a misconception that, and I had this before, is a life coach is too expensive. It's for,
Hmm.
people that are already up here that just need to get to the next level. But
Hmm.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I honestly think that having someone objective is so, so important.
It's,
So important.
yeah, and you know what? It's worth the investment, because I always tell my clients, if you don't invest in yourself, who's going to? You know, if,
Absolutely.
if you don't invest in you, then how can you invest in your family? You have to take care of you, and you have to be the best you. So,
And it's funny because we'll spend thousands of dollars on, other things,
mhm.
um, college or, courses and stuff like that. And this has always been an issue with me is, you don't learn these things in school. You don't learn these things growing up. Chances are you had a dysfunctional family who wasn't teaching you good life skills,
Mhm.
and then we wonder why we're a mess. I mean, it's like it's happened to me so many times. I think I have this great idea and I share it with a family member, and they just, I mean, by the end of the conversation, I'm like, that was a horrible idea. Not
Mhm.
talking to them, but my idea was horrible because they bring up all the the negative, or you know,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I grew up in a family that was very didn't think very broadly. So, college was for rich kids. So I didn't go to, no, none of us went to college. College was for rich kids. Um, you know, it was that era of get a job, work for a good company, stick with it, which I did for many years. But then, the rug was pulled from under me. And then I was totally lost because now I didn't have a college degree. I had nothing but just experience. And I managed to work my way through getting my GED at 48 years old.
Good for
Um,
you.
getting my real estate license shortly after that. So it was just struggling to find my own. But if I had had those life skills
Hmm.
prior, it would have been a hell of a lot more easy road. So I really am an advocate for life coaching because it is an investment, but it's definitely worth it. And you don't need it forever. I mean, it can be a
No.
temporary thing. Sometimes, I've been in therapy and psychiatry and psychologists. And one thing I realized when I was talking to my therapist, going through my divorce, and I realized he has not said one thing. He has not given me one piece of advice. He just keeps asking me questions
Hmm.
that I have the answer to. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I realized, they have a pretty decent job. They really just listen to you, and you kind of figure it out yourself,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I know it's not the same. We all have different trauma, or things we may need
Hmm.
to see somebody specifically about. But I think life coaching is a great way to, you know, like you said, make those action plans, figure out what you want to do, what your end game is. I love that.
Hmm.
And take it from there and work backwards. So,
Absolutely.
um, I wanted to also ask you if you could leave our audience with one thing to do today, what would that be?
Well, one thing I would say is I really would like to ask you, and this is going to make you really think about something. And it's because I'm really passionate about it, and I think there's more people out there than not that don't know the answer to this. Is think about this question: do you really know who you are? And what I mean by that is, are you really being true to yourself? Um, or are you adapting to what others want you to be, doing the things that others want you to do?
So
So,
true.
yeah. So if you, when you think about that and you think, wow, I do things because so and so wants me to do, when you come to that conclusion, then I want you to just go out and just spend some time with yourself and just really, I don't care if it's 15 minutes, just spend some time with yourself. Because one thing I tell my clients, and I make all my clients do this, is, when you meet someone new, you want to learn about that person, you want to know their likes and dislikes. So if you realize that you really don't know who you are, spend some time with yourself and get to find out. Because when you do that, things change for you, your life gets better.
Awesome advice. I and I forgot to mention, Michelle and I are co-authors in a book called The Everyday Woman's Guide to Doing What You Love. So this is live on YouTube. So it's my first time doing this. I'll figure this out later, but I will put links in the um, comment section or description about, or links to our book, links to follow you on Instagram or wherever you want people to follow you. How would people get in touch with you if you wanted to say really quickly how they can get a hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website. It's michelleperkins.org. It's fairly new, so there's still some upgrades being done to it. Or you can reach out to me on Facebook at just Michelle Perkins.
Awesome, great. Michelle, thank you so much. I just appreciate you being here and taking this leap with me today and figuring out this YouTube live thing. So we'll share it all over social media, and I just appreciate you so much. And best of luck to your coaching business. And I hope you get a lot of clients.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lisa. This was fun.
Awesome. Love you, girl.
All right, love you.
Bye, hon.
Bye.